Welcome to Top Table Gaming. This is a news video. Welcome to Top Table Gaming. You're here with your host Top Table Ben, and in this video I'm going to be covering the exciting announcement of a new supplement for the Middle-earth strategy battle game that was announced at Warhammer Fest this last weekend, and what we know about it so far. I picked up all this info from the seminar and from talking to the Middle-earth team at Warhammer Fest. I'm sure there was loads of stuff that was mentioned that I've completely forgotten, but this video is a bit of a brain dump of all the information I picked up over the weekend. Please bear in mind that there was a lot to take in throughout the seminar, so if I've forgotten anything or I've misremembered, then please forgive me. So first up, the new supplement is going to be called Scouring of the Shire. For those of you who have read the books, this will be very familiar to you. But for those of you who haven't read the books, the Scouring of the Shire is one of the last chapters in the Return of the King book, where the hobbits are on their way back home after their long journey, but the Shire is a very changed place. We do get a small glimpse of this in the Fellowship of the Ring when Frodo looks into the Mirror of Galadriel and sees the Shire burning. They find the Shire has been taken over by Sharky, who we later found out is Saruman, and his rogues, who are using the hobbits and the Shire for their own gain. They build all sorts of industrial machinery which creates noise and pollution, they cut down trees, and obviously our intrepid heroes don't take this lying down and rouse the hobbits and get them to fight back against their oppressors. Personally, it's one of my favourite chapters in the entire book, and I remember reading and rereading the chapter because I loved it so much. And if you haven't read it, or haven't read it in a while, why not go back and have a read to remind yourself how awesome this chapter is. This isn't the first Scouring of the Shire supplement we've had from Games Workshop. Back in 2004, a source book of the same title was published, which covered the same period in the books. Some of the miniatures that came out at the same time, namely the Scouring of the Shire box set containing the hobbits mounted on ponies, Sharky and Worm, is still available on the Games Workshop website, whereas some of the other miniatures have fallen into out of production obscurity. Or have they? More on that a little bit later on. So, what do we know about the new supplement so far? Initially, we weren't meant to be getting another supplement quite so soon. However, all the specialist games teams at Games Workshop were asked to submit an idea to fill a slot that had come up, and unfortunately, the super talented and tournament winning rules writer Jay Clare had already been working on some hobbit profiles that would fit the bill. The Middle-earth team submitted the idea, and thankfully, it was chosen, and Jay was left with only 2 weeks to write the rest of the book's content. So far, we know it's going to be 80 pages long, which is considerably shorter than the previous supplement, Gondor at War, but this is to be expected. Considering that the Gondor at War book covers several large, pivotal moments in the Lord of the Rings story, the Scouring of the Shire is a single chapter at the end of the book, so it's clear that it can't be stretched quite that far. In terms of narrative scenarios, we can expect a linked campaign as we have seen in the Gondor at War book, plus an additional 4 scenarios included as an appendix. I would imagine the linked scenarios will follow the Hobbit's exploits from the chapter up until the Battle of Bywater, and the additional scenarios may cover different events or time periods from the Shire's history, such as the Battle of Greenfields, where Banderbus Bullroarer Tuck slays the goblin Golfimble by hitting his head so hard that he knocks it clean off and into a rabbit hole, inadvertently inventing the game of golf, so legend has it. To help you play out these scenarios, you'll obviously be needing some hobbits and ruffians, and there are quite a few named in the book that don't yet have models or profiles. Fortunately, the Middle-earth team have got us covered, and this supplement includes 11 new miniatures and the return of some old. First up, the baddies. There will be a trio of new ruffian leaders, one of which will be the infamous Bill Ferny, the one that can be seen here on the right. He looks to be armed with a dagger, and part of the design brief for this character was that he should be looking like he's about to stab a hobbit. Unfortunately, I missed the name of the 2 other leaders, however one does have a very cool special rule. The ruffian on the left is able to set fire to a piece of terrain, and any modelled within a certain distance can be set ablaze. This is a very unique rule, and isn't something that we have come across in any other SBG rules up until now. However, it's very fitting for this character as he is brandishing a torch. I can't wait to try out this new rule in game. What I really love about these miniatures is the fantastically detailed faces that they have. The ruffians are often described as orcish, and the faces capture that perfectly with the various scars, especially on the big brute in the middle. Now, on to the hobbits. There will be a total of 6 good hobbits, which includes some of them from the book, and some that have been made up by the Middle-earth team. Those of you that are familiar with the books will remember Farmer Cotton, Rosie Cotton's father, who joins the hobbits along with his sons to rid the Shire of the ruffians. Farmer Cotton is armed with a pitchfork, which has some very cool and new rules. It counts as a hand-and-a-half weapon. It can be used to spear support, which makes it unique among the war gear available in the SBG system so far. Packed alongside him will be Falco Boffin, who was a friend of the Hobbits before they left on their journey. Next up we have the Sheriffs of the Shire pack, which includes Holfoot Bracegirdle and Robin Smallborough. Robin Smallborough is an old friend of the Gamgees and is one of the Hobbit sheriffs that the party recognise on their way back through the Shire. Initially, Robin became a sheriff with the best intentions, however, he was sent by the ruffians to arrest the Hobbits. However, was pretty unsuccessful as the party was simply able to trot on ahead of them on their ponies. I believe Holfoot Bracegirdle is a Games Workshop invention and is meant to be the leader of the sheriffs, and it's shown by having 2 feathers in his cap as opposed to just the 1. Both of these Hobbit sheriffs are armed with their staves just as the current sheriff models are. Next up are Will Whipfoot and Baldo Tilpenny. Will Whipfoot, or Flower Dumpling as he is affectionately called, will be a familiar name again to those of you who have read the book. He is the mayor of Mickle Delving at the time of the War of the Ring, and is said to have been the fattest hobbit in the West Farthing, and this is brilliantly interpreted by the sculptors of this mini. I do anticipate that this model will be used perhaps in some of the early scenarios as part of the narrative campaign, as Will Whipfoot is described as being thin by the time he's rescued, which clearly this model isn't. Baldo Tilpenny is another Games Workshop creation, created by none other than Adam Troke when he wrote an article for White Dwarf several years ago. Baldo will have a set of special rules that allows him to set traps, but I'll cover more of those in a little bit more detail later on. There are also 2 Hobbit characters that don't necessarily sit on the good side. These are Lotho Sackville Baggins and Ted Sandyman. Lotho Sackville Baggins is Lobelia's son, and after Frodo leaves on his quest, Lotho starts working in league with Sharky and starts nefariously buying up parts of the Shire for various purposes. Ted Sandyman is another Hobbit that worked in league with Saruman and his men, and had seemed to take glee in the destruction of the Shire. Now, what is really interesting about these profiles is that they can be played as either good alongside the Hobbits or evil alongside the Ruffians, and this is the first time that any profile has been able to do this, so I'm excited to see how people build their armies using this dynamic. It also allows Ruffian players to take a warband of Hobbits in their army, which again is a very cool little dynamic to their profile. We're also going to be seeing the return of some older models as part of this supplement. We're seeing the old Bilbo, and as I mentioned earlier, Bandabras, Bullroarer Took and Golfimble will be featured in the supplement, so we'll be seeing these models return too. Bullroarer and Bilbo already have profiles in the armies of the Lord of the Rings book, however Golfimble has been left out of several books in the past, so he will be getting a brand new profile and will have the Angmar keyword. Ruffians are also coming back, however rather than being in a pack of 3, as many of the older metal miniatures are, they're going to be repacked in a multi-pack. I was under the impression that these were going to be in packs of 6. However, 12 are on display in the cabinet at Warhammer Fest, so unfortunately I can't confirm the pack size for these. So what new stuff are we going to be seeing in this source book? Going back to a point I mentioned earlier about traps, which played a prominent part in the narrative scenarios in the old Scouring of the Shire book, these are making a return, and what's really interesting is that these will be able to be played as part of match play games. Some of the traps mentioned at the seminar were pitfall traps, tripwire traps and snares, which will each have different rules. Tripwire traps, for example, will cause affected models to become prone and suffer a low strength hit, and these sorts of rules will really change how this army and your opponents will play. There won't be any official models for traps, however the Middle-earth team did show some examples up on the screen during the seminar of how these had been made. It was confirmed that traps won't be allowed to be placed within a certain radius of objectives during match play, as it posed a really unfair advantage to the Hobbit player. Legendary Legions appeared prominently in the Gondor War book, and we can expect to see at least 2 new Legendary Legions. As part of the new supplement, 1 good and 1 for evil. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to make a note what these Legendary Legions were called, but the Hobbit Legendary Legion will be able to take more traps if taken. Another new addition we can expect to see in this supplement that I felt was missing from Gondor at War is a building guide or tutorial for scenery. In the older supplements, these used to feature quite prominently and was something that I used to really look forward to when a new supplement came out. Steve has already posted up an unboxing video of the amazing new Hobbit Hole conversion kit from Forge World, so if you haven't already seen it, go and check it out, and I expect we can see a guide on using this kit to make your very own Hobbit Hole as part of the new supplement. So overall, to me, this sounds like a really exciting supplement with loads of new rules and intricacies to make the game just that little bit different. Now that we've heard a little bit about the new supplement, to me it feels like Gondor at War, whilst was an excellent supplement, was playing it safe in some respects, but I think Scouring of the Shire will really push the boundaries of SBG that bit further, which is great news for the game. So, what do you guys think about what you've heard so far? What do you think of the minis? And are you as excited as I am? And if so, what are you looking forward to the most? Make sure you let us know and carry on the conversation down in the comments below. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button to make sure you don't miss out on any of our videos. Also, please take a moment to check out some of the links in the description below. We're on Patreon, which helps keep the studio over our heads and gives you some extra cool exclusive little perks. We're also an affiliate with Element Games, so please click on our affiliate link below. Each purchase you make using our link helps us out and will allow us to continue bringing you unboxings and loads of new stuff on the channel. We've got a thriving community over on the Top Table Gaming Community group on Facebook, so why not drop in and say hi? We're also active on Twitter, so there's loads of ways you can get involved, get in touch and help and support us. See you in the next video.